Welcome to Latte with a Lawyer, a podcast dedicated to bringing you the stories of some of America's most successful lawyers, figuring out what makes them tick, how they creatively solve problems, and how others aspiring to be them can follow in their footsteps.
Okay, welcome to another episode of Latte with a Lawyer. This afternoon we have with us Stephanie Rapp Tully of the firm Tully Rinke, and there's no relationship to the Tully there, I'm told. So
no, I am a Tully of Tully Rinke, but not the Tully of Tully Rinke, nor am I related to the Tully of Tully Rinke.
excellent. So welcome to the show, and that in itself is interesting.
Thank you.
So, because I was prepared to ask you a bunch of questions about that, so we can't go down that path. So I know it's late in the afternoon, but just to keep with the theme of the show, Latte with a Lawyer, tell us how you get started in the morning. What's your favorite beverage of choice?
I love coffee. I really do. I love all forms of coffee: iced coffee, hot coffee, macchiato, latte, anything with an espresso, even a chai tea with a shot of espresso. I love coffee, and it's not just for the caffeine. I genuinely enjoy the flavor of coffee.
Yeah.
But on an average day, I drink a hot coffee with vanilla creamer. Very
Nice.
simple.
Very nice. Do you like coffee ice cream too?
I love coffee.
Yeah, coffee. Yeah, I do too. Coffee ice cream, mocha ice cream. Like, yeah, I like the flavor of coffee too. I agree with you. So, but then
I started with coffee very young, not too young, but when I was in high school, I think a senior, when I was able to drive and had a little bit more freedom, I used to get Friday Frappuccinos with my carpool group. And so that just started my love of coffee. And then college, it just went full in on coffee.
Excellent. Yeah, well, of course, college, you got to stay up, right?
Right.
So where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
I was born in Florida, but I mostly grew up in Northern Virginia.
Okay. Very good. What town? Like Alexandria?
I went to school. The majority of my school years were in Centerville, Virginia.
Okay.
In Fairfax County.
Got it. Yeah, that's a nice place. I have been there many times. I told you I lived in Bethesda, and I know Northern Virginia quite well. Nice place.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. In fact, I think we used to go to they used to have the circus at George Mason.
Yes.
They still do that?
I don't know. I haven't been to the circus in probably 15, 20 years, but I don't know if they still do it anymore.
I took my kids there.
After during the pandemic.
Well, it was a long time ago now, but I took my kids there when they were little. I went out there to for some reason they held the circus there. It was fun.
Yeah, I think I did that once or twice growing up.
Exactly. So tell us what kind of work you do.
Sure. I do employment discrimination litigation. I represent employees against the employer facing discrimination. The grand majority of my practice is federal employment.
Okay.
Federal employees against whatever agency they work for. I also do private sector employment in Maryland and DC.
Very good. How do you get I'm curious how do people find you, the employees that are working for these federal agencies?
How do they find me? If they're
Yeah. How do they contact you?
Oh, well, they can call up our office. They can email us. We advertise as being a federal employees attorney law firm. So we specialize. That's one of our biggest practice areas.
Okay.
Specifically federal employees. We do private sector in various states: New York, Texas, like I said, Maryland, DC, California. But our biggest area of practice is federal employees. There's a lot of them.
Yeah, I met one. We actually had another one. Maybe you saw it on the other podcast. We did have another federal lawyer as well.
Yeah, it's a vast practice. There are more government agencies than I think the grand majority of people can count.
Oh yeah.
It's incredible. And I always tell clients, I wish that we would not be needed anymore, because that would be a great day in our country. but alas, we're needed.
Yeah. Well, particularly in maybe the last administration, you probably got a little more action than usual.
It was definitely a change in the
Yeah.
tone and tenure of employment in the federal government. There were considerable adjustments. Particularly, there were certain executive orders that changed how we did things.
Right.
And swinging back now, there's been some adjustments as well. We're facing a new set of adjustments
Right.
coming in with particularly the Merit Systems Protection Board. There's a huge slew of changes that are going to be happening with the Merit Systems Protection Board, presumably, if they pass. And that'll just change our practice even more as it relates to the board.
Yeah. And you notice when there's a change of administration, the types of cases you get?
Yes, I can tell. And it's not really as agency specific. A certain agency will change its tone and tenure towards things.
Yeah.
And you can tell, you can get that change. And I can also tell positive changes too. So I can also tell when an agency has said, oh no, we're gonna take these things very seriously. We're going to deal with them in an appropriate manner. They will not be tolerated. And we can see that change as well. So it's not just the negative. I also see changes in the positive.
Yeah, no, I wasn't even placing value. It just strictly, there is a change of, based on the sort of the flavor. Yeah, I would think so.
Yes.
I noticed, I was looking at your profile, whistleblower. So you probably have a bunch of that work, but also, I mean, I'm curious, as the population is aging, myself included here, I mean, how much of that kind of work do you get, like with age discrimination? And is that changing at all?
There's definitely age discrimination cases that we get. It's kind of an age-old thing, no pun intended,
Right.
Where, someone elevates themselves. Let's take the government, for example, and they rise and rise, they increase their grades and steps, and they're at a high level because they've been in the government for so long. Well, someone in that position would start at a lower grade and step. So it would be cheaper to have a younger person in the position than an older person, someone with more experience. So we see those types of decisions being made that, are age-based. And so they are age-based decisions, which are discrimination. And it's unfortunate because when I look at those cases, most of the people that I talk to, the responsible management officials, don't discredit the employee that much, other than to say, oh, they need to be pushed out. They need to go. We need younger blood in here. It's usually some of the things I hear.
Right.
Well, that's still age discrimination. It happens. And with a large population of people broaching that area where they've, spent 20, 30 years in the government, more and more of those people are facing those types of reactions and decisions.
Yeah, I would think so. I would think it's more pronounced now that, people need to work longer because the economy has changed, right? They don't want to get pushed out. They want to continue to work.
Right.
So I'm wondering, do you see an uptick in those kind of cases that you're seeing?
Yeah, definitely. We get that. Now, most of the time, age discrimination cases have something else attached to them. So it's not just age, but age is definitely a very prevalent protected basis that I deal with.
Yeah, interesting. What are some of the other types of things that you do? Well,
it's everything that's covered under federal discrimination laws. So race, color, age, sex, religion, disability, retaliation, reprisal, all those things are protected bases that you cannot take a personnel action against someone on those bases. Harassment, sexual harassment, non-sexual harassment, whistleblowers, you mentioned, filing complaints with the Office of Special Counsel, and then eventually going to the Merit Systems Protection Board on those complaints. Those are all things that I do on a regular basis.
Got it. Is there anything that is more common than other things that you get involved with?
There are a lot of EEO cases. And those are probably, if I had to break out my case percentages.
Yeah.
Probably grand majority are EEO cases, and then Merit Systems Protection Board cases. And then I also practice in federal district courts in DC and Maryland. So that litigation, and then Office of Special Counsel. And then I also do retirement issues. So if people are applying for disability retirement or want to appeal a OPM retirement decision, things like that, I also do those.
Got it. Do you try cases? You actually go in court?
I do. They don't typically, employment cases don't tend to get to trial.
Right.
They tend to get to a point where either they resolve one way or the other, either in settlement or on motions. But if a case is going to go to trial, it's probably going to resolve in a settlement. So in court, I haven't had too many trials because the grand majority of my cases at that point settle. Right. In the EEOC, I've done a ton of hearings, and they're kind of akin, where it's a presentation of evidence, calling of witnesses, et cetera, before a judge, in this case, an administrative judge. And I've done many of those.
Oh, good. But that's not a jury. That's a judge.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. And so I saw you have an interesting background, how you got here. Tell us about that. How'd you get into this?
Well, in college, I wanted to be a television producer. I went to school for it, and I did a couple of cool internships doing it. And I graduated college in 3 years to move out to LA to pursue television. I got out there. I got hired by a talent management company, which is a lot of people's first steps into the industry. And then the writer's strike happened. Writer's strike of 2008, and it shut down a lot of Hollywood. You couldn't get jobs anywhere. I lost my job during that writer's strike. And then I couldn't get employed. I remember I applied to like 3 different Starbucks, and I couldn't get employed because so many people were looking for jobs.
Oh, sure.
So at a certain point of doing odd jobs, I said, well, I got to do something else. I can't keep doing this. And I thought, well, what am I good at? Really good at arguing. And law was a passion of mine in college. I had a business minor, but they actually told me I couldn't take any more law courses without actually having a business major. So I got kicked out and I wasn't allowed to take any more. So I thought about that, and I was like, I really enjoyed those couple law classes I got to take. I took a class on industry law, television industry law, film industry law, and I really enjoyed that. So I went to law school figuring maybe that's the way I need to go.
Interesting. How'd you get the bug to be a TV producer?
So this goes back to my middle school drama teacher. He and I built a television studio in a broom closet at Rocky Run Middle School. Shout out to Mike Tim. And we produced the morning news. I helped him build the studio. I did it for 2 years. And then in high school, I was lucky enough to go to a high school that had also a television studio. I was involved in that for 3 years. So I loved news. I loved television production. I loved editing. And so that's why I wanted to go there. In college, I had the opportunity to do a news internship with Fox News Edge, which is their affiliate service.
Okay.
And that was really, really cool. I covered stories all over Washington, D.C. and the House, and interviewed a whole bunch of people. But then I also had the opportunity to work on the West Wing. And
I saw that. Yeah.
That changed me forever. That's
really
what I wanted to do. Yes. That kind of production. It was magical. I was obsessed from day one, stepping foot on the lot. And that's what I wanted to do. So that's why I moved out to LA.
So would it be fair to say that's really your passion, and you need to get back to that in some way?
No, I think passions change in life. I have very fond memories of that life and that work, and those I have some really cool stories. But LA was not a place I wanted to continue to live anymore. And yes, you can do production other places, but it's just not something I was passionate about anymore. I find more passion in advocating. My stage is now the courtroom. It's not a TV set, right?
Got it.
It's before others, advocating on behalf of others. And so in my mind, they're similar. I'm producing a case, I'm creating something to tell a story, to show someone's point of view, and I'm trying to convey that to my audience, which is typically a judge. So in my mind, it's about the same. It's just a different vehicle of doing that.
Yeah, interesting. Well, that's an interesting way to sort of have the throughput there, or the through line. That's an interesting way to think about it. Yeah. Interesting. Is there anyone that's sort of, with, aside from your teacher, with production, do you have any big influencers that sort of you look up to in the business, in the profession?
I had a lot of really great law professors. Honestly, there's very few at Toro Law that I can't name that is incredible.
Really?
I had some really, really incredible professors.
Was that in New York City, by the way? In New York?
It's on Long Island.
Long Island.
Yeah. The cool thing about Toro is that it is in between two courthouses. So it has a federal courthouse and a state courthouse within a block from the school. So we had really cool access to the courthouses, and Myra Berman is a professor, and she put together this program with the school so that we could get real motions and practices and problems, draft a response, and then argue it in front of the real judge that saw the real thing before and get feedback. It was incredible. And I did 2 semesters of that and got really cool experience of arguing in front of judges in real time about real cases. I mean, they of course redacted a whole bunch of it. I mean, it was different information that changed important details, but it was real. These were things that had appeared before them, and we got to argue them and then get really great constructive feedback. And I think that changed me. That experience absolutely changed me.
So what do you think works? I mean, what did you learn from that? Like what makes you effective in front of a judge to win your argument?
I think one of the most important things is reading the judge, because you need to know when to amp up your argument. You need to know when to pull back. You need to know when to move on to your next point. You need to take their questions not just as the question that they're asking you, which of course you need to answer, but as indications of where you need to go.
Yeah.
So you have a roadmap when you come into an oral argument, but you need to be able to adjust that roadmap based on the experience that you're having with your judge. And that experience is where your argument needs to go, not based on what you've preconceived in your head. Got
it. That's interesting. So is there any way to prepare for that? Or are you just doing it on the fly in real time?
Oh, yes. There's something called mooting. I mean, you can moot with other attorneys. I was on the moot court honors board. And so you can have other people just throw you questions, softball questions. So you have experience on how to answer easy questions, because that can be really jarring the first time it happens because you think it's a trick question. And then really hard off the wall questions that are really left field, but it doesn't matter what the question is, you have to be able to answer it. And then practicing kind of what I called canned responses to things that there's no way you could have known that was going to be a question. So how do you respond? And having those kind of canned responses in your arsenal available. But yeah, you can practice a lot. You can have, I mean, not just attorneys can moot you. You can have lay people ask you questions so that, if you can't explain it to a lay person, you can't explain it well. So you need to be able to explain it to a lay person that doesn't always understand it. I think someone in law school told me the 5th grader level. You need to be able to explain it at a 5th grader's level. And if you can't do that, you can't explain it.
Well, I would say that's true in any business, really. You have to simplify complex issues, right? So people can get it, because people just not going to understand it the way you will.
Right. And by breaking it down element to element, you then can put your position into those breaking it down. And so if your opponent, opposing counsel, isn't breaking it down like that, your argument suddenly makes a whole lot more sense just because you've made it clear and very elemental in what you're arguing.
Right. So do you use a more structured format besides like sort of bouncing questions off people, like, a mock trial or a focus group? Do you do those kind of things?
I moot with people in my firm. I actually just had an oral argument before the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit. I had it in December.
Okay.
And it was one of my first, appellate oral arguments in quite some time. And so I got mooted by a bunch of people. There's the age-old practice in the mirror. But I am also meticulous in my preparation. I always prepare a folder, and it has my roadmap. It has every case and every brief and a synopsis of it in case the judge says, hey, remember the Johnson case? What was the holding in that? And so you have just the quick snapshot of it. And then I have my intros and conclusions and all important information. So I'm very meticulous about my prep.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I don't use any of it. I just go.
But going through that process prepares you, right? Yeah.
Exactly. That was like flashcards. I never actually used the flashcards. It was creating the flashcards.
Right.
That was important. Yeah.
But can you bring I've heard people say they bring iPads into the court as opposed to folders, right? Can you bring, what do you think about that?
You can do that. I've never done that. I'm still, I guess in that sense, I'm a little old school because I still like my folders, because technology can go down, internet could not work. Suddenly your battery isn't charged. But if I have my paper, unless my paper catches on fire, it's going to be fine.
Good
and then
point.
if my paper's catching on fire, we have bigger problems.
Good point. So I was going to ask you about that. We're leading into that, but like, what other technology do you or your firm use and leverage and like?
Well, we actually were very fortunate with the pandemic. We have a very virtual setting. So we were able to keep on rolling during the shutdown because the grand majority of our systems are virtual. We had video phones in everyone's office when people were in offices. So we would talk to each other. I could talk to somebody in Albany face to face like this before the pandemic. So when we transitioned, there really wasn't a whole lot of transition. And we have, as a firm, utilized technology extensively. And I think other firms and other businesses are starting to catch up to the courts. I know we're starting to catch up to that. But we utilize technology, except for my folder example. I'm very much technology.
You're young too. When you say use it extensively, what does that mean? Like, tell me more about that.
So we have virtual databases, we have virtual systems. Everything is accessible through, like I can take my laptop anywhere and work. We have VPN capabilities.
Yeah.
I can do a hearing sitting here at home just as well as I can do a hearing sitting in my office, just as well as I could do it in a hearing room. And sometimes it's a little bit even more convenient because I have two screens and I can have documents on this side and
I have 3 screens right now, by the way.
Yeah, it makes it so much easier.
Oh
and
yeah, absolutely.
Life, you don't have that.
Yep, that's right.
Yep.
So okay, interesting. And then I assume I was on the phone with someone before this, and I was surprised, but they use Salesforce, as a CRM. And I've never heard a law firm using like a CRM.
We have Salesforce.
You do use Salesforce too.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we use Salesforce as a product, as part of our technology portfolio.
To keep client information and collaborate?
It's more for what we use. It is more for tracking consultations.
Okay.
So transport of consult information, basic information, where that consult goes, what the next steps are, potential agreements we're going to draft for that potential client, and then the responses.
So you build workflow. You've built workflow into it.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, there must be a legal rendition of Salesforce that they've customized, or does the firm do that work? You don't know?
I honestly wasn't involved in the bringing on Salesforce. I just use it.
You're just a user of it.
I use it. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I'm a big user of Salesforce and have used it for years. And I just like the whole concept of, keeping organized, right?
Yes. Well, everything we can do to organize, we do. We are meticulous.
Got it. How many lawyers in the firm?
There's anywhere between 50 to 75 attorneys. We're a mid-sized firm, and like I said, multiple states. So we're New York, DC,
Yep.
Texas, California.
Got it. And is there like a core focus of the firm?
In terms of practice area,
Yeah.
2 core focuses, like I said, federal employment, and then we also do military representation. We have a considerable number of former JAGs and military veterans that work for the firm that handle matters relating to service members and veterans.
Okay, so there is a theme there around people's livelihoods. Yeah.
Oh yes, definitely. That is a core theme.
Yeah, that's the core theme. Okay, got it. Very interesting. So would you advise someone to go to law school today? And what would you say? Let's assume you would. What would you tell them?
Really think about it. What is it that you want to do? Why? And understand, I mean, if you're independently wealthy and can pay for law school on your own, wonderful. But if you're going to have to take out loans to do law school, I think you need to make some very careful planning decisions in looking at that, because law school debt is no joke and it doesn't go away. People have tried, they won't do it. It's something that, I mean, I'm going to be paying my college loan or my law school loans off after I'm done paying my kids' college loans. I mean, it's just going to be around in my life forever.
Yeah.
And, you know, that has to be an educated decision. If you choose to do that, you need to have the education of what that is, what it'll look like when you graduate, understanding how to work within those financial situations, what it looks like. Because I did not have that understanding whatsoever when I went to law school. It was only after I got out and had to start dealing with that I understood it. So I think that I would advise someone to spend a lot of time understanding what the financial aspect of it. And then really gauge as to why is it that you want to go to law school? Do you want to go to law school to advocate for people? Do you want to go to law school because you just like the idea of law? Is there another avenue that you could pursue that would accomplish the same goals? I think that, you know, the career of being a paralegal is woefully underappreciated, and it's a phenomenal profession, a phenomenal job, makes a lot of money if you're in the
without
right
the debt, without all the debt, right?
Yeah. So, you know, there are other places. So if you go through those 2 considerations very carefully and you still get to, yes, I want to go to law school, go to law school.
Yeah. Got it. Interesting. Okay. Very good. Well, you can say, I mean, you can almost all professional schools, you can say the same thing, whether you go to business school, law school, medical school, they're all expensive.
Yes.
Right.
The difference between law school, and I don't know if this is true for medical school, but the difference between law school is that the ABA doesn't allow you to work more than 20 hours while you're in law school full time. So unless you're going part-time, you cannot have a full-time job.
Okay.
You're not, I guess hypothetically you could, but you're not supposed to.
Oh.
So it makes it very difficult. I don't know if that's changed. When I went to law school, that was the rule. So I couldn't, unless I did law school part-time, I couldn't also have a job, a substantial job. So that makes paying for it even more difficult.
Right. But is it even practical to have a full-time job while you're in law school? I mean, it's a tough curriculum.
I mean, that's the reason for the rule. No, you should be focusing on what you need to be focusing on.
Right.
So I wouldn't advise that, but it just makes it, some people think that they can come in and still earn what they had been earning previously, unless they're coming from college. And that's just simply not the case.
Yeah, I can't even imagine that. I went to graduate school, went to business school, and I worked part-time. I was a research assistant because I paid for myself to go back to school, and I spent every penny I saved.
Yeah. Yep.
But you know, it's tough to balance all those things, I guess, is my point. It's not easy.
Yeah. And then understanding what just having a basic understanding of financial aid, because I didn't understand there was a difference between what kind of loans, interest rates, where you could get a loan from, the variety of financial aid available. I really didn't understand that. And I think if I had a better understanding of that, maybe some things would be different. Certainly my planning would be.
It's interesting. I mean, it's interesting that you raise up. So financial literacy in general, like for lawyers, for doctors, is lacking, right?
Yes.
And like those are like life. It's funny. I tell my kids, I mean, you know, we're gonna get some life skills here, right? You should know about those things, because when you get in the real world, you're suggesting that you didn't think about those things, but like you can't survive unless you have those basic skills, right?
I honestly think it should be taught in high school.
It should be.
Because even if you don't go to college, you still need to have financial literacy. You still need to understand a mortgage. You got to understand a contract, a check you got to understand all of these basic elements that most people don't find out until something has gone wrong.
Right.
Or they get much older and they're doing it and they've been doing it for quite some time. But understanding a mortgage and buying a house, I think, is critical. And I don't understand why there isn't a course in high school to teach you what it means to have a credit card, what an APR is, what credit is. All of those things should be taught in high school.
Yeah, that is amazing. I mean, listen, I mean, when I went to school, there was like home economics and woodworking, and stuff. It's like, I mean, why wouldn't there be some basic my financial literacy? My daughter, actually, in her school, there was a teacher that did teach that, and it was terrific.
Right, that's awesome.
But it's not part of the core curriculum, and it should be, right?
It should be a part of the math curriculum. I mean, trigonometry is wonderful and excellent, but why not, on top of trigonometry, also teach some financial literacy?
Yeah, trigonometry doesn't even make sense to teach in high school.
I just want to point out, the math teachers are going to hate me for this, but when my math teacher told me you're never going to have your calculator in your pocket, I have my calculator in my pocket at all times. So.
Of course. I mean, math in the real world is pretty basic. You don't need to know any of that stuff.
No, the calculation part, but the concepts, I think, are critical. You
Yeah.
need to understand concepts. Something like compound interest. I would have benefited substantially from having a class in that in high school.
Right. That's true. Anyway, all right. Well, this has been interesting. Well, on that note, I'm gonna let you get back to being financially literate and take care of your business. If somebody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way to connect with you?
Sure, they can contact me either by email or phone. Our firm's telephone number is 202-787-1900. And you can reach me by email, srapptully@fedattorney.com.
Excellent. All right. So this has been my pleasure to have Stephanie Rapp Tully from the firm, no relation, Tully Rinke. This show has been sponsored by EmotionTrac, and we use artificial intelligence to collect nonverbal insights that people use for trial and mediations. So thank you very much, Stephanie.